All right, it says you are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and non-binaries, interplanetary, intergalactic time travelers. You know who you are. We see you. I salute you. My name's Oliver. I'm in a bunker I call Studio 72. And I just kind of wanted to therapeutically unpack some of the ideas and thoughts in my head about the general election. In particular, I'd like to focus, if I can stay focused, right, on local Portland and Oregon type of dynamics. But there is some very interesting national things happening, and I'd be a fool to leave that out. I'm hoping not to do more than an hour. I really wish I could just do everything I wanted to say in my head in 20 minutes. I feel like you lose people at that point. But you know, who am I? I'm so small. I don't even have anybody here that's captive as an audience. But I do have an opinion. I do have a lot of thoughts, and some of them aren't bad. You know, some of them is pretty good. Some of this stuff is just way out in outer space. You know, like I don't know if you saw earlier, but here's our friend, the friendly seasonal hedgehog. I love the autumn. I love the pretty leaves. And then you've got bum, bum, bum. Here we go. It's the Scorpio. And it's like, oh, you like the fall leaves? Yes, I love, don't you? Ah! I don't like autumn leaves. That's the Scorpio. Okay. And if it feels as crazy as that just felt, you're in Scorpio. It is the revenge, the stinger, the only astrological sign with a killer poison attached to the mascot. Let that sink in. Yeah, it's not a ram. It's not a peaceful little bucket of water. No, it's a fucking poisonous stinger scorpion that will kill you. Welcome to Scorpio, my friends, the season of eclipses and human sacrifices for thousands of years, right? No, I know. 4 o'clock here and p.m. That is West Coast surfer time. Hope your weekend's going good. We're looking at, I believe it's November 16th, 4 p.m. You know, the winter, I lose days. I lose weeks this month, and next month I lose weeks through this time travel. It's hard to put it into words. The more I talk about it, the crazier it sounds, so I don't talk about it much at all. But the wintertime time travel is really intense. I get into like napping. I don't know if you can relate to that, but it's like instead of really getting any solid sleep, I do these little naps, you know, and then I'm up at like 3 in the morning. I'm painting, like wide awake. It's pitch black, you know. It's probably just me. It's one of those quirky things that I do, but. So just diving in briefly, one of the things that keeps coming up, and it's why it's not the pressing issue, but it's something that it gets the most hits right now, and it bothers me. It's like stuck in my craw, and that's the attack on paper ballots and vote by mail. Now, I can understand with some of the discrepancies with the voter DMV, motor voter, whatever the fuck that concoction is, where they're automatically registering people. We found hundreds and hundreds of people that were not Oregonians, were not citizens, but yet registered and getting ballots to vote here in Oregon. And that's against the law. That it's, you know, and so you've got Secretary of State kind of brushed it under the mat, and all these bizarre neoliberal bungling women that are all in their little private, you know, sororities, and it's like Freemasons, but for women, these little Freemason sororities. That's the way I feel the way Portland, Multnomah County, and Oregon has been operating. It's these backroom Freemason sorority ladies that are fucking bonkers to most of us. And, you know, that's something that I'd like to talk about if I can come back to it, circling back, is there is some threads of solidarity. There is some things that I think that we as independents and conservatives and patriots can band together artists, artwork. That in itself, Oregon Arts needs to be rebranded and reframed. I know everybody's doing their own thing and there's all this going on, but since COVID, I can tell you right now, galleries have not done well at all. In fact, they're closing, just like restaurants closing. That's a whole nother thing, but it's not hopeless. It's not hopeless. And I really see power and strength in the number of Oregon artists, whether it's the whole gamut of all of it is, as a curator for, 30 years almost, but it goes back 2000. So it's like 25 years, but not all actively had a shop. It's been in between different places, but art collectives and things, Blue Catfish Studios. I love that name, Blue Catfish. It's like this ghost, this, whatever. I don't know. It's kind of cool. But the Aqua Blue Lounge is one of the original things that really came out of a multi-room dwelling in the 1990s where people from Grateful Dead tour and Rainbow gatherings in Arizona would come to my door. I have no idea who they are. Come to my door and say, we heard about you at the drum circle at the Rainbow family gathering in Arizona. And I'm like, you heard about me in Arizona? I'm like, how is that even possible? What the? All right, come on in. Yeah, we got a room upstairs for rent. How much money you got? So that's where the Aqua Blue Lounge kind of came from. And at one point, like we'd have big drum circles, or they would have, I really wasn't the big drummer guy, but up on Mount Tabor, they'd have these huge drum circles where you could hear the drums coming down Hawthorne, like 30 blocks down from Mount Tabor. I'm not kidding. And so, but anytime there was any kind of police problem or, some sort of intervention, they would just come and just drop off the hippies at my house. And I never totally understood that. I think it's like, hey, and I was like, what? No, not all hippies know each other, and you can't just keep bringing truckloads of dready hippies because I got no more room left to rent these guys. I had like 15 people at one point. It was living in the house. I mean, way beyond occupancy. But it was true story. That's Aqua Blue Lounge. So let me digress on those fond memories of the old days. That was the 1990s in Portland, where I was renting a house for $650, 4 bedrooms. I'd rent out the basement. I was upstairs rent free with my buddy. His scene, he was hardly ever there. He dreadlock Rasta bro, was always out and about. We were both rent free up above, and we'd rent out the rooms and doing all that. That's the old school Portland way. That's the way we did it. That's the way it used to be able to be done. We could rent the entire 3rd floor of the city sign building and have art studios, have shows, have amazing creative sessions. Not really rave parties, but there's always some sort of EDM dance music in those places, especially after the late night crowd comes alive. So but that wasn't why we were doing it. At least that's not why I was there. Although the raves were wonderful therapy, in my opinion. They still are today. We got to bring back the rave. Can I get an amen? Somebody say bring back the raves. But there is a lot of therapy, even with rave type of party favors they're now using in therapeutic clinical settings. Yes, therapeutic and clinical settings. MDMA, Cubensis to treat PTSD, to all these different dynamics. We weren't just little raver kids. We were actually scientists conducting experiments on ourselves. So as unhealthy as that sounds, we were making America healthy again. And I like to look at it that way. It sounds a lot better, right? Instead of just partying and getting a little wow. But so with Portland has changed dramatically. And one of the results that we saw, let me digress or step back to the mail-in ballots. Now, I want to advocate for them because there's a lot of hate against mail-in ballots. It was the source of the unconstitutional rigging, if you will. I hate the word rigging. It's like, how do we avoid these land trap words, little landmine words? But that unconstitutional flooding of mail-in ballots, you can't do that. The federal government does not dictate down to the states on how to conduct their elections. This is basic constitutional law. I am no fucking scholar. Okay, I mix paints and that the oil vapors get to me. That's me. I'm that guy. Okay, but I do a lot of deep thinking, unfortunately, in between the vapors and the oils and stuff. No, I'm kidding. But the deep thoughts of an artist, it's still waters run deep. Okay, and those deep thoughts and that deep thinking comes from the art studio. So the whole voter pamphlet, not the voter pamphlets, although that needs to be expanded. We're going to have to do something about, if we got 20 or 30 names, everybody needs to have a picture in a pamphlet. Okay, they need to have a little bio. Now, if they're so dirt poor, which a lot of us are, a lot of us working artists are dirt poor, especially in this economy. Rent's at $1,500. That's $1,500 in art just to pay the rent. Forget about the food and the shoes and all the rest of the stuff that young people need in your family, in your household, maybe that are in your household. All that dynamics is very, very expensive. So we have to change that perspective. It's one of the biggest rebranding shifts, in my opinion, that we need to do. We already have some momentum there in Portland, is to rally the rebranding of the new artistic Portland, the new artistic Oregon. And we can do that. And by doing that, especially with Oregon, where you've got chainsaw artists and fly fisher, watercolor, I mean, just think of all the different artists. I think about all the different artists that I have met that have come to me in the city asking if I could market their work. And I tried to market everything. And it's difficult to sell artwork, especially today. I mean, people are really losing their sense of survivability. That's my opinion. It's not just artists. I'm talking about people that they're not able to pay the rent. They're not able to pay the loans back, or they're reluctant to get into the student loans. I would encourage you to take on student debt, because it is housing. So not only are you going to go into debt, yes, that's true, but you're going to get education, and you're going to have a housing, and you're going to meet some people that you can connect with. College is really, really important, at least the associate's degree in community college. I think there's a lot of hatred, especially from conservatives and non-college type of folks, just haters. They're not ignorant. They're smart people, but they just don't like the college dynamics. I think it's a liberal mecca, and it has become that way, unfortunately. I can't really argue against that, but the point is I'm not going to quit telling the young people to stop going into community college to better their lives, to better their thinking and their social lenses and perspectives on things. We can't stop and give up on the younger generations, folks. We can't just stop. They need more education. They're not getting it. The Portland Teachers Union, Oregon Teachers Union, the National Educational Army of Union, they're all failing our youth because of a variety of reasons, but I want to zero in on identity politics rather than the basics of math, reading, writing, and art. Art needs to be in that diet. Not all these, many of these young people are not thinking in math and science. They're thinking in colors, in vibrations, in sounds, in rhythms, and frequencies. Okay? Anybody that has autistic family, knows anyone that's autistic, seen anybody that's autistic, understands they're operating in frequencies. They're operating in a totally different level. This also needs to be incorporated into my perspective. At least have art high schools. Have schools, so we're expanding on like the Da Vinci school, where it's more of a Montessori type of let the youth decide what they want to learn, but actually set it up in an artistic setting. And people are like, oh, the arts, what the problem? Geez, dude, you are sending people into debt. They're not going to make any money off the arts. Listen, art is therapy. It's therapeutic to a lot of people. A lot of people. Julia Cameron wrote a book called The Artist Way, A Path to Higher Creativity. That book will change your life. She talks about writer's block, and write in the morning, write down your dreams in your journals and the things that came to you from the spirit world, possibly. These proverbs, these sage, wise dreams and creatures that I believe exist could communicate with you. Excuse me. Can communicate things in messages. If you're writing them down, you can take a look at that. You can reflect on that. Really, really important. Having some peach juice. Love peach juice. Love pineapple peach. Anything tropical or citrus. I'm a sucker. So the back to the boy, I sure seem to be straying off of those goddamn ballots. The ballots that we have here in Oregon, I believe Washington does too. I'm not sure about it. I don't have all the data in front of me. I don't know all the other states, but they have barcodes. Barcodes like your mayonnaise and ketchup and pickles all have barcodes, just like the ballots here in Oregon. Okay? Tracking, barcodes. Now, some could say, well, that's just on the outside. It's not on the ballot. Okay, well, we could talk about that more. Maybe that's something you want to spend more energy on to make it more secure, is you want the barcode on the ballot instead of just on the outside of the envelope for the tracking and letting the Multnomah County, or all the elections, but for us, the largest here is the Multnomah County elections. You're letting them see, or they're telling you when it's opened. So it's opened, they're running it through. There's not a lot of tracking after that because it's taken out of the chain of custody in the envelope. That's one thing that I've heard. But let me tell you something right out of the gate. We have a really good system. We're not like what happened in 2020. Okay, that's not Oregon. We actually we track people's voting records. It's creepy, some of the data that is available. Okay, how often you vote, who you're, I don't know about the exact details of who you're voting for. It's probably some of that's probably, but there is data. There's data that would amaze you, actually. And I don't think it's available to all the public. You kind of have to be a party officer or something, because I've gone through the data over the years and I've looked through it and I'm like, wow, this is pretty amazing data. I'd say when people register, whatever they give and put on the voter registration is there. It goes into a data bank. So, you can limit that, or which most people do. We don't have an email, we don't have a phone number, or it's an old phone number, we can't contact them. These are problems that come with building third parties. This is something the obstacles that we've had for 30 years here in Oregon when we started out as the Pacific Party. Pacific means peace. We weren't even green when we first came out for years. The green part came after years of internal political fighting. We had to have the green on it to get federal matching dollars and Ralph Nader. We've got the candidate finally. It's showtime, it's go time. He's going to make 5%. There's millions of dollars that could come back. If we don't have Green Party, we're jeopardizing the potential. This is the arguments that came out to way back 1992, 1996, going all the way back to the beginning. I'm a co-founder of the Pacific Party. Then we became the Pacific Green. Some wanted to drop Pacific. Some just wanted to be Green Party of Oregon. And then we had another division and split with Greg Kafore, the Kafore family. That's right, the Kafore, same Kafore families. The names are all over buildings and historical names on the city council, and Deb Kafore and her winemaking dude. I call him her wife because, she's in charge, but that guy, Blossmer, was shipped into DC, part of the Biden transition, came back in. That's where all these medical martial law mandates came. That was a real game changer for all of us in Oregon, everyone. It was the red pilling movement, realizing that a small handful of neoliberal haters, and they really do. They hate men, they hate America, they hate Portland, they hate Oregon. I don't care what the fuck they say. Fuck you all. We've heard what they say. It's the patriarchy, it's the male, it's the white oppression. All this shit that's puked up out of their mouths. We've heard it all for years, decades now. Okay, we hear where they're coming from. We know where that attack is. That small little group in Multnomah County, right, is dictating the entire 36 counties in the entire state of Oregon. This is the conflict. This is why people are upset. This is why we have, 16 counties now, 12, 15, 16 counties, I'm not even sure, that have voted to leave Oregon. They want to leave these lunatic, identity politic, neoliberal women that hate them. They've been clear about it. They hate everybody. The national messaging has been the same. We hate you. We're going to put you in jail. You guys are the criminals. It's not the bad guys out here that are doing bad stuff around the world. No, it's you guys, the patriots, the Christians. We're going to target you. We're going to target the parents. You don't like what's going on in the school. We're going to come in and FBI's going to investigate you. Then we're going to have the IRS come in and audit you, conservative parents, because you're standing up for your children's rights. This is the environment that we've been under. It's been horrific. The neoliberal women don't see it like that. It's big fancy cheese plates with nice big fancy Chardonnay and Riesling. Pinot Gris, some of the best in the country, comes right out of, is it Pinot Gris? Pinot Gris. Pinot Noir, not Pinot Gris. That's whatever the fuck it is. We produce a lot of fucking wine here. Deborah Kafori's family's in the wine business. I got a lot of problems with how she specifically killed our community and damaged our children through the medical martial laws. She wasn't alone, but she was the leader at the time in leading those. Ted Wheeler was right there too. Governor Kate Brown. All of those people need to be held accountable. And that's the same type of perspective that has created this red tsunami across the country. Is we want people to be held accountable that took away our freedoms, our civil liberties, our right to refuse being tracked, refuse to have vaccine passports. We can't get the food in the grocery unless we comply with a experimental mRNA jab, like right out of East Germany type of experimental mRNA. Never been done on humans. Haven't been done on animals, although we found out it wasn't done on animals. Now the animals survived. Oh, that little part of the detail was left out. You know, that little informed consent pamphlet in the middle of the mRNA injection, right? That was left out. So now, listen, I don't want to get pulled and all that just because I said those things about that. But those are the things that if you're wondering what happened in this election. What happened? What was so appealing with this Patriot American First, Make America Healthy Again messaging? What was it that was so powerful and effective? This is what Rep AOC was doing. She did a little video saying, you know, I really want to hear from the MAGA folks that actually voted for me but voted for Trump. So she did a video on. And it's really hard to believe her sincerity, but I'm going to give her the benefit of that. I actually think she's concerned because New York just shifted hard right on her ass. Hard right. And that didn't happen in Oregon. We didn't see that shift happen. And there's a couple different reasons for that. I could spew my ideas, but that's a part of this analysis that's going on right now online. I've seen some Republican representatives in the state talking about this, you know, because we've got a real situation on our hands. We're being controlled top down like a tyranny here in Oregon. And it's not fair. It's not right. And to be point blank, it's dangerous. It's dangerous because we have people that are being mistreated that want to be respected. And that's never a healthy sign. That's never a good thing. If you have to think about that deeply, you're not paying attention. Okay? And I'm just talking about, I'm not trying to get all, you know, I'm just saying of us all jiving and getting along. We have got to do a better job as a whole with these purple states. We're really a red state with one county holding Oregon captive as blue, Multnomah County. It's a lit, and there's Lane. Lane's very strange. You see that Lane because you got loggers there, and then you got Eugene. So you got the dope growers and the hippies all traditionally out of Eugene and out through there. It's where the Grateful Dead came from, King Kesey, the Merry Pranksters, all out Veneta, Oregon, all out of Lane County. But it's very unique because it defines Oregon. Half of it is loggers, Republicans, people working in Georgia Pacific Mills down in Toledo. The mills are closing in Toledo. People are not paying attention to what's going on. The rural Oregonians are being devastated. Not only are we not keeping the logs to be, in local mills, what do you call that? When they peel off all the bark, and there's a whole process, just basically keeping Oregon logs in Oregon and employing local Oregon mills. That's not complicated, but for some reason it can't happen. Why can't that happen? It can happen. We have to make that happen. There has to be an objective. There has to be a goal where we don't work our asses off for Georgia Pacific corporations and not own any of the profits of our own trees down in Toledo, but that we are actually a part of the profit sharing of the local mills. This is revolutionary. And I hate that word, but it's basically, it is profit sharing. It's like Miller Paints. After 100 years, if you work at Miller Paints, I've had a number of friends, Miller Paint, very awesome, top of the line Miller Paints. They have a program where the employees pay into their own company and their own retirement, their own investments. They own the company as a part of it. Winco. It's the same formula. There's nothing communist about it. Oh, bro, you're going communist. Fuck you, man. Come on. Work with me. Listen instead of just blocking all that out, calling something communist. I hate communism. It's not communism. It's profit sharing. And it's about empowering the employees. The same thing could be done right here with logs, with our timber, for example. So these are huge issues that are affecting most of the state, meaning that it's red in very sparse populated area. Everybody goes, oh, land doesn't vote. God, if I had a dime for every time I heard someone fucking come back to me like that on X, well, land doesn't vote, bro. And were you confused about people and votes? No, I'm not confused about anything. I can tell you're very confused about what I'm thinking about. Okay? It's about activating those 1 million Oregonians that didn't even bother to put their ballot into the mail. The mail, it was for free. They didn't even need a stamp. It was free. 1 million Oregonians didn't vote. It's about average. In Oregon, that's a 30%. We're talking about a quarter of the population, give or take. I'm just bouncing the numbers there. Because they feel like it's so corrupt, it's so captured by neoliberal Democrats. The globalists have got a hold of us so hard and tight, just strangling us, right? It's like a scorpion stinging the hedgehog to death. It's the globalist scorpion, if you will. I need to bring my props out? Don't make me bring my props out. I got props. I'll bring those props back out. Our goal is not to attack vote by mail, okay? That vote by mail should be done with the barcodes, with the tracking, with all the voter information, which is not what happened in 2020. I'm just trying to recap and regurgitate back for you, because I know the thinking is very, very dense in the brain that people believe that these mail-in ballots is where all of the bad stuff goes down. No, it's not. Where all the bad stuff goes down is these Dominion voting machines. And this is going to be like a huge shot of morphine sulfate into the voters' arms with this election, because now everyone thinks there's no problem with Dominion voting machine. We had a red tsunami. It all came back. We worked it all out. There's no worries for 2026. No worry about the midterm with the Dominion voting machines. No worries about 2028 because everything was fine, guys. It's all good. Don't worry about all the missing, flipping, jacking, spiking, draw line. Forget about all that. You won. You won. You narrowly won the House, but you won. You got just a couple seats in the Senate, but it's the trifecta, guys. Don't worry about Dominion voting machines now. That's what I see happening. And Oregon outlawed Dominion voting machines. Okay, so say what you want about, and there is captured operatives, of course. Of course, the unions have captured Oregon, which includes teachers' unions. They've completely captured and they're dictating policy against us, we the people, because there's power and strength in unions, in numbers of people. They know it, and they're rigging rank choice voting. They're rigging elections. They're completely manipulating our entire government in the state of Oregon when it's one county that has the most people, one county, Multnomah County, little blue sliver up here, is controlling the entire state. 4.5 million Oregonians, give or take. Not even sure how many registered or legal or illegal, or does anybody know anymore? We've been so saturated over with danger and folks that haven't been screened or vetted. We love refugees. We love migrants. I love cultural diversity. I love it. I've painted Mesoamerican cultures my whole life. I'm telling you that because it's a part of who I am. I love the cultures of the whole world, but especially Mesoamerican culture. It's my people. But we need it done right. We need vetting and screening. There's only so much assimilation that can happen. We can't fly in 15 or 20,000 Haitians into the middle of Ohio and expect a good return, a good response from the small town community has no idea who these Creole talking Haitians are about, or for the Haitians that are being dropped in there expecting some sort of good positive experience or return, which is insane, stupid, and asinine policy. The fuck's wrong with you people? Of course you can't assimilate in the Midwest in some small town. What the are you thinking? This has been the gross incompetence of the Harris, Biden, Obama, Suzanne Rice, Democrat blue anon tyranny for too long. For too long. They sabotaged Trump. We didn't even get a clean Trump 4 years because he was sabotaged by all these negative operatives in the U.S. intel and all the agencies, Five Eyes, British, all these people, globalists, ambushing and making shit up on Donnie and everyone else around him. He didn't even get the clean one term. That's how savage these fucks are. That's how bad this battle is. And the neoliberals, they're triggered in another way. They're not in the same type of triggering that the patriots and conservatives have been in for the last 4 years. It's been detrimental. We have a country with two completely fundamental opposing sides that are not well. And it may not be either one of their fault, although I don't let people walk off quite that easy. It's the programming. It's the programming. And and that's a whole nother deep layer. And that's not the direction I really wanted to it's not the rabbit hole I wanted to fall into. It's a programming. It's a psychological dynamics. But why is that relevant in the big picture, what we're talking about with the U.S.? Because we apply that to Oregon. So what happened? We had a red tsunami across the country. It's obvious. It looks almost like the Ronald Reagan map, solid red America, almost. Of course, different demographics, and it was a different time. But 50 years ago, right? Well, not quite, but close to it. it looks like that, which has never been done before. Nor no neoliberal Democrat could ever do what was just done, ever, not by themselves, or even with their own little coalition. Because what's happened is, I don't think it was even intentional. It's become this populist movement of massive demographics that was never expected. That's my take. And that it resonated in ways that, like a wave, like a sneaker wave, you turn your back on that ocean and it will suck your children away. And that's happening right now. I hope not the children part, but those king waves right now are crashing. I so wish we were down at the coast right now, but it's king waves at the Oregon coast. We have massive, heightened, escalated storm coming in, atmospheric river, gonna dump global freezing snow all over the country. It's very exciting, but we're gonna have this storm that comes in. If all the data looks right, and I've watched several people breaking down the data, we have kind of like a Columbus Day type of storm on our hands. Maybe it'll chill. Maybe the military will come in and shoot some chaff, and I believe that stuff is possible. I think you can slow them down. Like the Philippines right now with 4 or 5, the 5th typhoon in like 9 days. There's obvious they need to work on how are we going to do some mitigation of these typhoons, right? I mean, I'm not a scientific genius by any stretch of the imagination, but if anybody, the science department in the Philippines, right, or their allies, real close right there, needs to design some sort of way, mitigation to slow down those typhoons that are coming in there, because it's devastating. Nobody can handle 5 typhoons in 9 days. I don't care who you are. I remember when that was happening to Louisiana a few years back. And it's like, why are they all going straight into Louisiana? Just one after another. It was like, wait, what? Let me guess. Louisiana again? I don't know. Don't get me started on the navigation and steering of it, because it's it takes me way off my path of what I want to talk about here. So the ballots and the tracking, like telling people that there's corruption in Oregon, when conservatives hear that, they don't vote. Do you realize that? If you're an Oregonian and you're a voter, do you realize the power of the words when you're telling the voters not to vote because it's corrupted? Until we change the mail-in ballot system, don't vote. Stop voting. It doesn't matter. You realize when you tell people that, it should be obvious. I don't know if you even care, or if you're aware of it, or if you are, you're kind of a, explicit. I could call you a bunch of names if you're aware of what you're doing. I think some of you are aware of what you're doing. That's tragic. But it's stifling the conservative votes. It's suppressing the Oregon votes, because you've told people and you're convincing them that these blue-haired lunatics, which that part is true, these blue-haired lunatics in Multnomah County with their unions and their out-of-state big dough payrolls, right? The Soros DAs and all these other fucks that are spending in through that way. But there's also big money that's shifting in the other way. So what are you going to do? You're going to say it all needs to go? Maybe it does, but it's here now. We got to deal with it. That is controlling Oregon. What we need to do, though, is come up with a plan of attack. It needs to shift. We need to quit telling conservatives here in Oregon that it's rigged. It doesn't matter who they vote for. And we need to activate them, because there's 1 million actively registered voters that are not voting in Oregon. It's huge. There was something like, and I'm just pulling numbers out, I did read it all, 150,000 Portlanders. So let's go to Portland. So we move into Portland. We got this ranked choice voting. They open it up. I saw all the pictures, people posting 20 names, 30 names. There's only like 6 or 7 that are even in the voters pamphlet. Why doesn't everybody have a picture? if we're going to vote for somebody or someone's name is potentially going to be elected, we need to be able to look at them and see them. I can see into their soul by looking into their eyes. Some of us are empathic that way. Women tend to be a little more empathic than men, not always. But just by looking at someone, it's like looking at their credentials. Who endorsed them? Oh, so you've got the teachers' unions are endorsing them. You can tell this person's captured. They're captured. Sunrise Movement, these domestic terrorist little front groups that actually had maps underneath the Capitol 4 years ago to sabotage Trump because they all thought Trump was going to get his second term. That happened. That happened, and it's on video. Why do I know that? Because I followed independent journalist Millennial Millie Weaver. Millennial Millie is her handle. And she actually went into the Sunrise Movement teleconference calls and taped them all. And then she made a movie about it. MillennialWeaver.com. Take a look at it. She's got the Sunrise Movement. These aren't just little kids coming out of school going, yay, we're worried about cow farts. Oh my God, if daddy doesn't quit eating steaks, we're all going to die. That's not good. Yay, cow farts. They've programmed these poor children in these public education schools, disinformation school systems, to be fear that they're going to be dead soon, to live in fear, and to think that eating healthy, nutritious meat is going to kill dad and kill everybody. It's fucking whacked. And that's what's so powerful about making America healthy again, is we're going to get the truth out. What is real healthy food? What is the stuff that's loaded with chemicals that's been banned in a whole bunch of other countries around the world? Thank you very much. Let's get that shit out of the food supply. Some of it is affecting our children's noodles. Some of it might be making them non-binary or hyperactive, or the synapses are misfiring. That's what adult attention deficit, that's what all that is. The synapses, like an SOS board, are misfiring or firing erratically, just like a heartbeat does on a cardiac patient. That happens in the brain. I know because I've been tested for those type of things. I've been all wired up, and I've seen those test results of my brain firing. It's absolutely fascinating. It's stunning. 20 years ago, or whenever that was. But we needed to check out some things. We need to make sure that, there wasn't something in my brain that was danger. Turns out that I was born just like this. There's nothing in my brain that fucked me up. I'm just fucked up just from being here. No. I'm kidding. I digress. I'm kidding. Come on. 43 minutes. All right. So that's my strategy on Oregon and Portland is that we had about 150,000 people that didn't even know what to do when they saw all those names. I guess I kind of faded off there, didn't I? The 20 or 30 names on those voters' guides. It was overwhelming. And it's overwhelming to someone, even to me, and I know how it goes. I don't need to do anything with most of those names. I knew what I needed to do. And I knew how to do strategic voting because I've studied all the weaknesses of ranked choice voting. So what we saw, and this is the initial preliminary analysis of this first time in historical ranked choice voting, instant runoff voting for the mayor and for the council seats, is that we saw that it can still be rigged. You can have a large group of people, like a union, with 20,000 people or 100,000 people. You can see them, or even smaller ones. You can sway elections with just voting exactly the same way with ranked choice voting. Everybody's like, oh yeah, duh, that's block voting. What are you trying to say? I'm just saying with ranked choice voting, you can eliminate people. You cannot rank people. So you have all those people that won't have Rene Gonzalez's name on the ballot. For example, this is how they pushed him down and how they elevated up Keith Wilson. You had that huge block of people that did not even rank him at all. The name was never marked. that's how you do it if you're trying to stiff arm somebody out of it. Unfortunately, my suggestion is let's not rank the domestic terrorists that came out of Commissioner Hardesty's Marxist room, out of her council room. That's who Angelita is. If you didn't, you missed that. Most of the city has no idea what was going on, who was running, who Angelita is. She was down there blowing up the federal courthouse out of Commissioner Hardesty's. It's a way to get the Marxists back into City Hall, which they've now done, because there's two names. Then you got the pirate, Novik, out of seat 3. I'm in District 3. I don't have a voice. I don't have one voice representing me and the thousands of people that think like me in my neighborhood down at City Hall. 3 seats, 3 different people. Not one of them is representing us, we the people. They're captured. Communists, Sunrise Movement, Democratic Socialists. They even have the Communist Alignment Socialist in their fucking name of their goddamn umbrella party, which is not even a real party. It's a fake group. It's a fake party, like Working Families Party. If fake people that are operatives from the Democrat Party, little puppets, are now seated in my neighborhood, dictating to me in my neighborhood of what we can and can't do. We got to ban the leaf blowers and all the other weird fucking twisted shit these neoliberal whack job women and communists come up with. Angelita's probably a Marxist. Commissioner Hardesty is a proud Marxist. She kept that part out to get elected, and then it sure came out real loud and clear when she was not condemning, she was condoning anarcho-communists and Marxists as they violently tried to attack other people's peaceful campaign buses, throw concrete and rocks off of I-5 onto the trucker convoy. That was the anarcho-communists. Those were the people that Commissioner Hardesty was standing with and condoning. And you all got bent out of shape, misconstrued something Trump said about good people on all sides, which nothing to do with Nazis. But here you are actually celebrating people that are attempting to kill peaceful truckers in a trucker convoy as they drive over I-205, throwing rocks down. Nobody investigated. The DA never asked any questions. Commissioner Hardesty didn't come out and apologize. She condemned it and said she supported their actions in civil blah, 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 whatever, however the fuck she said it. She said it, though. She wasn't quiet. She wasn't quiet about it. She was vocal and loud in condoning it, saying, yeah, this is the way we do it. We blow shit up. We throw concrete on peaceful truckers. That's America. That's patriotism. That's how we say welcome to Portland and welcome to Oregon as we try to kill people in their peaceful trucks, in their peaceful trucker convoy. It doesn't get any more fucked up than those people. Angelita in the office and now fucking seated. So we got to get real smart, real quick about who we're dealing with and what we're doing, because I know damn well, I know this town better than most of the people I talk to. Been here my entire life. Been in politics my entire life. I'm not a fucking idiot wandered in through here in Portland going, oh, wow, what are these anarchists doing here? How did that happen? Oh, I fucking know how it all happened. I was here. I saw it. And I'm pissed. And you should be pissed too, but everything's time delayed. People aren't going to realize what just happened, that we have actual communists seated in Section 3 again. Okay, District 3, Section 3. District 3, Section 3, number 3, right? It's 3 separate. So we're going to have to deal with all that. You're going to have to deal with all that. You're going to, these people, because of name recognition, they bring in a whack job pirate who needs to walk the plank and stay the fuck out of City Hall. Now the pirate's back, and we got 2 fucking communists in bright red lipstick is a part of the 3 just in District 3. That's what I'm looking at. So it's like, how do we avoid that? And how do we get people that are common sense? That's what's even more important, is not only do we have to learn a little better. I'm talking to the Portland people, right? Obviously, but it's also in Oregon, is how do we get the people that are independent, common sense, instead of wrapped up in this Republican framing and Democrat framing. Our success going forward is going to be about independence, including libertarians, people that are in that common sense middle ground, that are patriots. They love the country. They love Oregon. They love Portland. They love everything about it. They don't like the people that are now come in and they're trying to blow up our federal courthouses. No, we're in majority against these people. What we're not in majority about is getting everybody to the ballot box. And we keep telling the conservatives that everything's rigged and there's no sense in voting, and we're not going to change this fucking state. We're not going to change this Multnomah County. We're not going to change this country, although we are, unless we get those active voters to vote. And they did on the national level. God bless. That was the red tsunami. It'll be crashing weeks, months, but the ripple effects of this tsunami will be 10 years. It was that powerful. It was that powerful of a mandate. And people are way bent out of shape about how we didn't get it in the Pacific Northwest. Well, why didn't that happen in the Northwest? Because the Democrats carried water, uplifting, or both ways. The anarcho-communists were carrying water for the Democrats. But both ways, through 2020, they used each other in this codependent enabler type of toxic relationship. Anarcho-communists and established neoliberals all jumped into bed. That's what happened. I don't know if you fucking dipshit communists know what you fucking did, but you're banging neoliberals, jumped in bed with them. And then you got the neoliberals that said, we don't give a fuck if it destroys small business or destroys the county or we just need to get Trump out. We've got to resist no matter what. We'll bail him out. We're going to have, there was staffers, Governor Tina Kotek's staffers. Her staff was arrested downtown trying to blow up that federal courthouse. Stunning. And now she's governor. She wasn't governor then. Duh. Governor now, right? Governor now. And I really think that it's not as much, although it gives me cold chills when I see a number like 75%, 80% of Multnomah County of the Democrats voting for Kamala, the cackling hyena. I mean, it just gives me goosebumps to think that there's that many hundreds of thousands of people in my community, in my city of Portland, that are that twisted and that ignorant and under that much mass hypnosis that they obviously it was a vote against Trump, right? That's what they keep saying. Like, remember, keep this in your mind. This was not pro Kamala. It wasn't pro cackling hyena that couldn't finish whole sentences and looked like she was bonked out on Cubensis mushrooms while sucking in giant nitrous oxide balloons with the Grateful Dead music playing in the back, you know, fire on the mountain, bum, 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 right? That's Kamala. That's what it looked like to me, right? And then what was real interesting with that read and that imprint, that impression that came to me, Candace Owens. God bless that woman. God bless Candace. Candace, independent journalism, ends up finding MK Ultra through the mother. The mother was involved. Kamala's mother was involved with Canada, Canadian form of MK Ultra, drugs, brainwashing type of. She probably came from. She probably came from that. You got a mother that's cool with it. Why wouldn't she apply those things to her daughters, her family? I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm just saying. That's what Candace discovered. And so that whole Grateful Dead, MK Ultra, CIA operatives, which unfortunately some of that darkness did come into the beautiful free Further Festival, the hippie Grateful Dead, further bus, the further, those dark forces were there too. They're going to be everywhere. They were down in Burning Man. We had the FBI right there making profits at Burning Man. We tracked that because the same FBI guys that were in the middle of the Burning Man, getting their little whatever it was going through, were also FBI guys that were a part of spying on the Mormon Mafia, the Bundy clan, right down in Nevada. So it was this crossover. They were like, hey, wait a minute. Isn't that the guy that works with the Burning Man crew? Yeah, wait a minute. That guy there at the Bundy was with the Burning Man permits and observation. So whatever you make of that, you can make of it what you want. I'm not making anything up. There's clear. I don't have his name right off the tip of my tongue. But there was connections. There was these threads of these federal operatives involved in Bundy clan, and they were involved intricately in the planning and design or whatever the fuck goes into this, the Burning Man type of operation. Mostly with the permits and the surveillance is what I'm thinking. You know, it's like, what's the benefit of it? Of course, the money, right? I mean, tons and tons of goodies and party favors. Lots of money down there just on that. Just on that. And I don't want to talk about how I know anything about that. I'm not talking about that. But it was clearly, even Burning Man was co-opted. Grateful Dead got co-opted. These dark forces come in no matter what we're doing. They're coming in for the Trump campaign. These dark forces are coming in because that's all they know how to do is sabotage. They'll sabotage anything. It's how they create power and manipulation, in my opinion, is through that sabotage and that co-opting. So that's always going to be there, and it's something that we need to be hyper aware of. But we can be advocating as Republican, conservatives, independents, a part of this whole MAHA, which has brought in Democrats that we never thought we'd be working with, people that at one point were for gun control. Don't be bringing up gun control around us, bro. Right? That's one thing. It's like sales tax in Oregon. You don't talk about sales tax to Oregonians. All right? We don't fuck around with sales tax. We don't fuck around with gun control either. So you keep that down to a minimum. But there is things that we can find common threads. Obvious things, including protection, our rights to resist medical martial laws. Resist all that shit that bankrupted this country and made a whole bunch of people disabled and even killed Americans through adverse reactions and effects. They're going to pull that for that. Fuck you, YouTube. I'm just saying my opinion, my perspective. I'm not saying anything. There's no medical advice there. Blah, blah, blah. You don't need to pull the video. I hardly get any views anyways. I'm simply speaking my mind on that one of those dynamics that's a unification. It's a unifier of no matter what nonpartisan type of unification. And that is possible here in Oregon with embracing Oregon arts, okay? Because we're going to have cowboy artists, we're going to have chainsaw artists, and we're going to have other artists, photographers like Tara, who's been filming homeless camps and houseless people for the last few years. She has all these prints in black and whites. This is a part of Portland community. This is a part of Multnomah County. Liberals, neoliberal women's, these diva caucus, I call it the divas. Divas, it's more important of what they've done and it's our credit. We're divas instead of what is best for the well-being of everyone. What's in the best interest and well-being of Portland? All of us. It's not about continual profits in temporary emergency shelters. It's about providing housing vouchers and getting people into low-income housing units. We're not talking about luxurious apartments here, people. We're talking about 300 or 400 square foot units, maybe couple thousand studios, 200 square foot units, to get them in that step off the streets, away from the drug suppliers, away from the predators, away from the harsh elements of the winter. Winter kills far more than the heat. I think Portland's a lot better set up for the warming centers, but that's temporary. We got to snap out of this temporary emergency shelter that's making everyone tons of money, and that money is going into coffers that just keeps this cycle going for decades and decades and decades. I've worked in these emergency shelters for years. I've worked at Bud Clark. I've worked transition projects. I volunteered it there. I was employed for years. Janus Youth Program, Salvation Army Greenhouse, working with at-risk youth. I've seen the shelters. I've seen the filthy demise. I've heard the huge boxes of complaints. I've read all the complaints in the complaint box from all the guests. It's not safe. There's no privacy. It's people you're trying to escape from know where to come find you. So we had all kinds of women that were put in unsafe situations because you've got them all in the 1 or 2 emergency services, shelters, out. What do you call it? I forget it. But they kept changing our titles too. It was like I was a crisis counselor for a couple of years, and then I was a residential advocate. Then or maybe I started out as a night counselor at one point. I mean, it was just, it's like, what do you do? You're not paying us very much money. And then they kind of changed things where you actually had to have a degree, which I don't have a degree in the psychology of it. So it kind of shifted out. That's kind of how I got shifted out, actually, a part of it. The other part was I just psychologically, emotionally couldn't handle it anymore. I was tired of seeing clients die, whether they killed themselves through drugs and risky behavior, or somebody actually killed them. I mean, people don't realize that there's actually street gangs. There's PSK, Portland Street Kids. PSK is an old school street gang that it's not little rascals. People have died hanging off of bridges related to criminal activity of the PSK. Now, I don't know how strong the PSK is. I don't even know if they're still up and running with the Brotherhood. I don't know, because it's been that long. We're going on 15 years since I've been, or maybe almost 20 years now, because we're talking about late 90s in through 2003, 2000. So yeah, we're looking like 20 years ago. So a lot could change, but the point is, I hope you caught that there is these little mafia gangs. It's not little rascals. It's real. It happens. They kill each other. They shoot each other. They strangle each other. They overdose each other. They hang off the bridges. And you can't take that kind of caseload for very long. I don't care who you are. I mean, it breaks you down. I mean, you're like, where's the humanity? And then you hear about elected wealthy politicians coming down, filmmakers would come down, and I'm looking out, 3 a.m. And did it break? Is it still going? That was weird. It did a glitch. I don't know what happened there. Oh, am I still recording or not? I don't know what happened, but we just had we just had a big surge here. So anyway, I'm not sure what happened, but I'm gonna leave it there if I'm still running. If not, I hope I covered enough ground to make sense. I did the mail-in ballots. I'm advocating for it. I think the rest of the country needs that. And what was the other couple of things? The artists, I think we can come together with bringing rural artists to the urban Oregon artists and do a better job of portraying and advocating, kind of spinning this new Oregon artistic movement. And Portland is a huge part of that. And we could even be able to get some federal grants or do some things. And we could even develop some like music centers. Like one of my ideas is bringing back the reggae music festivals. I'd like to see kind of like a reggae music center built in North Portland again, catering specifically, could be all musicians, but catering specifically to international reggae music and some sort of artistic sponsorship, if you will, where we could house people for a few days, or maybe give them artistic housing vouchers, you know, where we've got Jamaican reggae guys. We can bring them in. They've been vetted. They're going to do music. They're going to help with the Cultural Arts Center in North Portland, right? If we can get that together. And then we've got music, and we have this good positive energy and vibrations through artists and music, through the marketing, where we're not just a bunch of derelicts trying to blow up federal courthouses. We're not just a bunch of bridge jumpers and sexual deviant perverts and putting lipstick on pigs and dresses on dudes and the bros, right? We are way more than that, way more than that. And those of you that get off on that, that's your thing. You can still do your fucking thing. Okay? Whatever the fuck. We need to rebrand and remarket on a bigger picture to get artists, music, rebranding, and attention. And that's real important. Real important. We've got to come together if we want to support small business on all colors, all likes, all different ethnic demographics. It's a huge umbrella. Huge umbrella. But it's important that we're all come together to support a small business. See, especially the arts. We need a complete overhaul with the arts. We have a lot of talent in this state. We got a lot of talent in this city. Where are they? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? We got to find them. We got to bring them brothers up out of wherever darkness they're in, right? There's a lot of artists that need help. A lot of good people. Crafts, singers, musicians, all of it. So anyway, I'm not sure what happened with that glitch. We lost all of our internet. I don't know if I'm still rolling or not. It says I am, but who knows? Anyway, it's a good place to go. When I'm at over an hour, I know I've talked way too fucking long. Right? All right, man. Peace out. I'm not dead. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's all right. You didn't die. The scorpion didn't kill him. All right? Stay positive. Stay positive. And it does got a stinger, though. Watch out for that stinger.